This is Matt Brown, and you're listening to Just a Good Conversation. 15 years have passed since I last saw Rachel Seed. We spent 2 weeks together at a Maine Media Workshop learning about filmmaking. During that time, Rachel had uncovered the vast audio archive her mother, Sheila Turner Seed, had produced before her death. Lost interviews with iconic photographers like Cartier-Bresson and Gordon Parks, just to name a few.
I just remember it like a flash. It was like, got to make this film. And I saw it in my mind in a moment. And then it was like I was just following that sort of order, the divine order of a sort. And so at that point, it was like an assignment I was given from another realm that I felt that I had to follow.
I'm Matt Brown, host of Just a Good Conversation. Take a listen to our archives. My guests have ranged from chefs, professional musicians, cult survivors, and photographer Lynn Johnson.
I didn't know it was a drug until, years into the profession. But when I look back, I was, maybe in 10th grade or something, and I saw the work. I was like hiding in my school library, very shy. And so I found the work of Dorothea Lange, and I was like, that's it. I want to be in that place. I could feel it literally in my body. Had I known at that age that photography is of the body as well as the mind, the commitment, the heart.
The rest of my conversation with Lynn can be found on our archives at justagoodconversation.com. Let's take a quick break for a sponsor before diving into my conversation with Rachel Elizabeth Seed. Maine Farmhouse Brands was started by Dan McCool, a healthcare professional. His goal was to make premium soap. Most people may not realize how important the right soap is for their health and the difference between soap and detergent. Soap is made from natural ingredients like animal and plant fats, whereas detergent is made from synthetic, often harsh chemicals, even fossil fuels like petroleum. Maine Farmhouse Brands makes their own soap with natural ingredients, free from harsh chemicals. So if you want to keep your skin healthy and clean, I would recommend using Maine Farmhouse Brand soap instead of detergent. You can find their body wash, shave soaps, laundry soap, and beard oils, and more at MaineFarmhouseBrands.com. It's like we were at summer camp and I get to see you again, Rachel. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, it's a real blast from the past.
I don't forget even what I saw. Like, I don't know if it was the trailer, your name popped up randomly or something. I was like, I went to summer camp with her. It was like, we were in a canoe and doing archery and arts and crafts. It seemed that long ago. I
know, and I love the Maine Media Workshops. It's just so memorable. So, if anyone reached out from that era, of course I had to respond because it's just a special place. It is like a camp. The Friday night lobster bakes and yeah, love it.
Have you gone back for anything since then?
I have not been back since then. I did go to the Camden Film Festival, which is nearby there, and so it was kind of nostalgic to go back and smell the ocean air, but I haven't been back to the media workshops. I would love to go back sometime.
I'm trying to go back in October.
Oh, nice. To take a class?
Yeah, just take a class. There's a landscape fall class.
And I love that.
Anything to see other people's work, have other people look at your stuff, just recharge your batteries just for a week away from work and just be like a regular photographer. It's
pretty cool. Yeah, I think they've been there, since the 60s? I mean, it's a great place.
It's magical.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't live that close because I'd probably just be going by all the time.
Yeah, seriously.
So, like I've said a million times on this podcast, the best part of this podcast is the research. The research of my guests, learning more about you. I feel like I'm a third cousin now. All the research I've done, and secretly, I knew who you were or the family was when we met. But It's kind of like seeing Brad Pitt. You don't walk up and be like, "You're Brad Pitt."
What did you know before we met?
Well, I knew who your mom was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I knew who your dad was.
Amazing.
And PF and I talked about it at the workshop.
Oh.
Because I've known him prior, so he was kind of like, "Do you know?" And I'm like, "I know." I think I know. And we were It's kind of like, I think that's the homecoming queen. Like that's her. So it was,
Cool.
it was fantastic to find out what you were doing in the film that you made. That was like an elephant birth. The length of it took for you. It was
my
like
God.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But tell me about it. What, like, you were born in London or grew up
I
in?
was, yes.
So do you remember much of Europe or London as a child?
I don't remember from the first part of my life because I moved to Chicago before I was 2 years old.
Okay, so Midwest kid.
But I went back almost every summer as a kid.
Okay.
I would go and stay with my aunt in London. So I definitely feel I'm a dual citizen, and I definitely feel kind of many different worlds.
Is that aunt on your mom's side?
No, my mom was American. My dad is British.
Okay, so it's on your dad's side.
Yeah.
How was that like going back as a small kid? Because that's like a real big summer camp, go to another continent.
Oh, yeah. I loved it. I used to actually fly alone, even when I was like 7, 8, 9. And
Wow, that's independence. Like that's
well, yeah. I mean, they had that like the appointed steward, you know, but that was just always, it never felt scary to me. It always felt like an adventure. And I would be met by my aunt on the other side. And I lived in London as if I were a local, so I didn't really do the touristy things. So it was really just like going to another home.
Wow.
And it was great.
How was the Midwest growing up?
It was fine. I went to good schools in the Chicago area. I had really good friends. You know, it was like a safe north suburban neighborhood. It was quite diverse though, so it was interesting.
How much older is your brother than you?
2 years older.
Okay, so did you guys go together to London?
No.
So just you?
Yeah, just me.
Okay. Wow, that's even more brave.
Yeah.
Didn't even take your big brother. You just kind of, I'm going.
Yeah.
With your, and we'll get into this, with your mom passing away so early and you obviously not being aware of it, how was that being raised? Because I kind of went through this. My parents separated before I was a year old.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
So I never knew my father, but I always knew my mom as just, I didn't realize what a single mom was.
Yeah.
Because I just thought.
That was just what you knew.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize it until kids in school told me.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. That's hard. Yeah.
Right. Like, where's your dad? What do you mean?
Right. And then you feel weird and different.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't know where my dad is. I just got my mom. She's cool. Like,
Yeah.
Did you go through that? Like, with that experience of where was mom or who was mom?
I did a bit. Yeah. I mean, I do remember little instances in school where it'd be like, you know, the mom was supposed to do something, and I did have a stepmother, so
Okay.
she would fill in. But before she came along, there were 2 or 3 early memories where I definitely felt like, oh, something's wrong and I'm weird or different. But it's, you know, as a kid, it's out of your control. And so you just internalize that feeling of I'm weird, you know, which like, thankfully I've embraced as an adult in other ways. But yeah, I do remember a little bit of that. Looking back, it feels like a stigma. At the time, you obviously wouldn't label it as a child. You just feel like you're different from everybody else.
Yeah. My mom was just so cool. Like, she's total rock star back then.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that or feel that stigma. It didn't really bother me that a man was not in the life because all the other men, my grandfather, my uncles, filled that void. Mm-hmm. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, my mom was still blowing up, you know, the Bionic Man tent, you know, and doing all the things I guess a father would do, but then still being mom and letting me sit in her lap and drive her car around in the parking lot.
I think too, like, it's probably more unusual for a child to not have a mother around than a father around.
Right.
Because, you know, there's a lot of, whether they pass away or men are, you know, supposedly die a little bit younger, or just absentee fathers is a much more common thing. But yeah, either way, I think the experience of growing up without one parent obviously can't help but affect you in a deep way.
Right. Now, with your dad being a photographer, you were around the camera a lot.
I was, yeah. It was really just second nature. And you know, when you're a kid, you just don't even think about your normal life, whatever it might be. In my case, it was one funny early memory I have is there's a photograph right when you walk in the door of our house that I grew up in, and it's of a young boy carrying 2 bottles of wine walking down the street. And I always assumed it was my dad in the picture. And later I learned it was actually a picture by Henri Cartier-Bresson that he had given to our family as a gift. But it was just so second nature to me. It was just hanging there casually on the wall, and I just thought it was my dad. So it was things like that where you're just kind of surrounded by it, and you don't really think it's unusual or, special in any way.
And when you're a young kid, you have no idea who that is anyway.
No idea. Yeah. Many years later, I learned about it.
It's just a picture. And was it even signed?
That one, we did have a couple that were signed. I don't remember if that specific one was.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't, if you give prints to a friend, you don't sign them because you're just friends.
Right.
Right?
It's probably just a casual print lying around his studio.
It's off a little bit, but here you go.
Yeah.
Contrast didn't work for me.
Right, exactly.
You give it to the seats.
Yeah.
When did you start to find yourself on that either writing side, because you are a writer, or a visual side? Was that early on as a kid?
I would say yes. From my earliest memory, I always just wanted to create anything and everything in any possible medium, whether it was writing a song, whether it was singing, whether it was writing plays, performing in plays, taking pictures came a bit later, but drawing, writing. I just did anything creative, and it just was kind of all I wanted to do. So I ended up kind of honing in on writing and photography, but before that I was really interested in anything and everything that I could get my hands on as a kid.
Yeah. What was the first play you did? You remember?
Oh gosh, I don't remember what it was about, but I do remember that, like, my friend who lived across the street from me, we used to play in the backyard, and we would put on a fake cooking show. We pretended that we were the hosts of a cooking show. So we would paste mud all over a brick, and it was a chocolate cake, and we would come up with names for everything. So yeah, I think it was just an urge to create in any form possible.
Early Julia Child's channeling, right? You're just...
Yeah, and I mean, I still love cooking, so...
Is it expanded past mud pies?
Oh, for sure, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
right. Yeah.
I have a few more specialties these days.
A lot of salt. Just keep adding salt.
Yeah.
That'll be fine. When did then you start to embrace your visual side? Was that something Dad kind of put in your hands, or was that on your own?
Specifically photography, or just...
Or anything. What did you shoot? Maybe 8mm black and white film first, or what did you...
I think, well, in early days I would just draw everything, but then I think in high school is when I first picked up a camera and would go into the darkroom with my dad, and he would kind of show me things. And then I think the first official photography class I took was probably in my late teens. So it was fairly late, but I was interested in photography probably from my early teens on.
Okay. Was he hands-off or very hands-on as a photo instructor to kind of guide you?
Well, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it's like when your parent tries to teach you something, like my overriding emotion was just irritation. So I think he wasn't probably the best teacher for me because I was just annoyed, if he was trying to show me how to do something.
Oh, Dad.
Yeah. So I would watch him. Obviously, I was influenced by just watching him, but I think it wasn't until I took an actual class that I really started to get into it and understand it at a deeper level.
Was it more maybe he just wasn't capable of teaching his daughter, or was it really just the teenage daughter saying, I'm going to figure this out?
I don't think he was necessarily the best teacher because he sort of gets really introverted when he's doing his photography stuff.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, he just gets really in his own zone, which I totally understand as well. So,
Do you have that approach now? Is that something you've...
Yeah, I do get into a zone with creative stuff, and I do need to sort of hold myself off, especially for writing. I find that I need just kind of my own little cave or bubble. Yeah. Like retreat of a kind that you make yourself, or that you physically go to. But yeah, but I do have a passion now for helping other filmmakers because I've been through such an incredibly challenging process to fundraise, to produce a film, to write a film, to be in a film, to get it finished, and now to get into festivals, etc. That it gives me a great joy to be able to share that knowledge with other filmmakers specifically, since that's now currently the field that I'm most active in.
Right.
So I do have a passion for, and I actually did teach a fundraising for filmmakers class last year. And I'm going to be a guest on my friend's class in a few weeks. But once the festival circuit settles down a bit, I'll probably be developing a workshop for filmmakers, or in some way figure out how to share what I've learned.
Yeah, that's important.
I think so, yeah.
When you were in high school, was there a plan for college? Like, Rachel wants to do X?
I think I was primarily focused on writing at that point.
Okay.
Or that was sort of the thing that was the most natural to me at that moment was writing. And so I have an English literature degree.
Yeah.
Which, people used to, say, oh, it's a worthless degree. But I actually think it's one of the more valuable degrees in the arts, because just being able to write and analyze and communicate is a fundamental skill set that, frankly, a lot of Americans could use some improvement in. So I'm happy with my English degree, and it kind of also allowed me to move on into photography, which I did kind of after college. I didn't really study it full time in college.
Right. So then how did that come about? If you're going to have this English degree and all of a sudden you're going to fall back with that camera and play with that some more, where did that start to happen?
So one of my first jobs out of college was at a publishing company in Chicago, and I was a writer and editor. And I did enjoy the job, but I was sitting at a desk all day. And I learned...
As writers do, yeah.
As writers do. So I learned two things about myself. One, I don't like regular schedules that someone else makes for me.
Not 9 to 5 kind of gal?
No. I like to make my own schedule. I'm not really a morning person.
Okay.
I like to... And I also have sort of a entrepreneurial mindset, and I like to sort of do things in new or different ways. And so working full-time at a company that someone else was in charge of just didn't really suit my personality, even though it was a great experience. So during that time, I thought, what would be a career that was sort of the opposite of that? And I don't know how conscious it was, but I was just like, I think I need to go into photography, because I can be out in the world. I can make my own schedule. I can, meet all these people and be out and about. And I was naturally about to move to Louisville, Kentucky with a boyfriend I was dating at the time who was from there. And so for me, it was a fresh start. And I thought, as soon as I get there, leave this job, I'm going to start pursuing photography. And that's what I did. And I, from there, built a business and started a career as a photographer, which lasted, I'm still a photographer,
right.
But it was, 10 years where I was primarily a still photographer.
Did you feel nervous? Because, you're not a trained photographer. Mm-hmm. You have the background. You've done some photography. Dad can obviously be a great backstop. But it's not like you sat there for 4 years at Name This Institute, right, having it beaten into you, and the business side of freelancing, which is the trap door for everybody.
Right.
Was that kind of a scary thing?
I wouldn't say scary. I'd say more exciting. I've always loved business, and I love the challenge of marketing and business. So for me, that was fun, although it's a very different hat from the creative side.
Mm-hmm. Very different, and that bites people in the ass.
And then I had the benefit. It's very true. Yeah, a lot of artists or creative people don't have the interest in learning the business or doing it, or they don't have the proclivity for it, and that can be a real challenge for sure. That's where we get the poor artist sort of, what do you call it? Like
stigma. Yeah, you're stigma. It's true.
Yeah.
I can name 100 friends.
Yeah.
Great artists.
Most of my exes.
But they couldn't balance
artists.
a $10 checkbook.
Yeah. They just don't, it's like, and I don't think there's anything wrong with not having that interest or not wanting to deal with it. But there is the reality of American society doesn't really value, corporate society, consumer society, capitalism does not value art in and of itself. And so you have to figure out how, if you're going to be a full-time artist, how are you going to make that work? And a lot of people don't and never figure it out.
Well, my complaint with higher ed is that they don't teach finances.
They should, absolutely, yes.
You can have all the courses, and I've said this a ton of times on this podcast, no matter what it is, but why in the godforsaken do they not teach a finance course, even your
Yeah.
freshman year?
It doesn't
So you
make
understand
sense.
what you're getting into the next 4.
Not only that, but a lot of those schools, you come out with $180 of debt. So not only do you not know how to find the money, but you have to pay back this insane amount of money. And
Yeah.
it basically, like, you know, puts you in the hole sometimes for life. So it's kind of a wacky system.
I've had a friend tell me like 1 out of 10 kids that comes out of NYU makes it, and then the other 9 are bankrupt for life.
Yeah.
Because they didn't understand the finances of going to the cost of school. So they didn't teach finances there. So they come out just completely shackled.
I do remember there was like the Brooks Institute of Photography was one of the few places that did treat it more like a trade. But then maybe you were missing a bit of the art angle of it. I'm not sure. But I did look at that school because I was considering going to photography undergrad.
Well, they're gone now.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
I haven't heard of them in a while.
Yeah, they're gone. They got bought out and sold and crashed and burned.
Oh, darn.
It happens. So you take that risk, you go. How is your photography business at that point? Is it working? Are you doing
It took a
what
while.
Rachel wants to do?
Yeah, I had to rev it up, but once I did, I would say after a couple years, I was very busy. The benefit of starting a photography business in Louisville, Kentucky, is that it's fairly easy to be a big fish in a small pond. So had I done the same thing in New York City, it would have been a different hustle. But doing it there, you know, I was able to shoot for the Courier Journal and for many of the local papers. And then you have things like the Kentucky Derby. So I would have like 10 assignments in a weekend. You know, I was always out and about shooting. I sold cameras at the camera shop there, Murphy's Camera, for that was kind of that was sort of a stepping stone before I branched off totally independently.
Were you doing weddings, bar mitzvahs,
I actually started a wedding photography business at the end of my sort of like really active period as a photographer. And I did a ton of weddings.
I can see you very good at doing weddings.
You know, at first it was intimidating. But once you know the formula of a wedding, it's like, okay, this is when this happens. That's when that, and I would always shoot with another person. So there wasn't that fear of like, what if I miss the kiss or whatever? So, you know, I thought it was kind of fun. And it's like most people are happy at a wedding. And so it's kind of a good vibe. The hardest part was always herding the family together.
Uncle Louie's over there drinking.
The kids and the grandparents.
And someone's wandering off.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So, you know, I did enjoy it all.
When did you start the Motherless Project? Was that in 2004?
Gosh, it might be online somewhere with a more accurate date, but I
think that's what I had. So
that sounds about right.
So was that started in Kentucky?
It was started, I think I started it after I moved to Kentucky, but I moved there in 2005, so it might have been around 2005.
Okay.
And yeah, that was great. I traveled all over the world, photographing and interviewing.
Now, I saw that. And now, what gave that spark? There's one thing if you shoot all the motherless women in the great state of Kentucky, but to decide you're going to go all over the world, where'd you get that funding, that fire, that idea?
I mean, I think I wanted to show that it was a universal experience. So just photographing women in one city felt maybe too limiting. I also wanted an excuse to travel around the world. And I found the photography projects were always a great way to do that. The thing about Louisville, Kentucky that I loved, and I will always love that town, is there's a ton of funding for the arts there. And if you have a great idea, like, you know, there's a lot of people that work for, you know, the horse, the bourbon, the whatever industries, healthcare, and they want to support the arts. So I was able to get
it's a great
at
town.
least 3 to 5 grants while living there. And I got grants from other places. I think I actually got a Maine Media Workshops grant.
Wow.
To do that platypus workshop. And it was from the Motherless Project that I was able to get it. So yeah, I think probably I got 5 or 6 grants to fund the travel.
I'll put my Freud hat on here. Was that something you were kind of chasing with losing your mom early?
Yeah, it was about hearing other people's stories who had been through something similar to try to maybe feel more like connected to people who had the same experience, because it's not a super common experience.
Right.
So, it was like, this is the way I know how to do it, which is to pick up a camera and interview people. And I think it was about just trying to find connection in the experience.
Was that just stills and audio at the time? No video?
I did end up doing some video, but it was pretty terrible because I had no skills at that point in video or filmmaking. So I'd say the photos are probably the most lasting element of it. And the interviews were great. It was more for myself almost, the interviews. But I did use quotes in some exhibitions where I would have the picture and then some quotes by the women. And I think it helped to hear some of their stories too.
A project like that, does that make you a better interviewer as you're sitting there and you're listening to what they're saying and you're trying to take it all in and responding? Was that like something for you to work on?
I think so. But, I think it was also just, all of us have things that we naturally are drawn to do. And I don't think I ever consciously set out to like improve interviewing skills, but I think I always have been, I'm just a naturally curious person, and I'm naturally drawn to nonfiction storytelling, whether it's writing, photography, filmmaking. So it was just a natural urge I had to talk to people, and I never really, studied it or tried to improve it specifically, I would say.
Were you still writing at this time pretty heavily, or is it just kind of on and off?
Oh, no, I was still writing. And even when I was in New York, I did quite a bit of freelance writing for a lot of trade publications.
Yeah. I blew through several hours last night just reading.
Oh gosh,
reading stuff going back from way back.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a wild rabbit hole last night.
I would say so.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun.
Good.
So is the platypus then the genesis, putting video in your hand and understanding that process?
I think it really was the jumping off point for me. It was a moment. It was like, it must have been 2009 because that was the exact time when Canon came out with the 5D Mark II. And it was like this whole world was blown open for still photographers. And I was one of those people.
Vincent's video he does.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was one video by this photographer.
Vincent Laforet. And
that's right. And everybody's like, oh my God, you can make a movie with this.
What the hell can you do with this camera? And it was,
right.
I mean, it was
a huge moment.
There was not Instagram yet, or Facebook was still kind of goofy.
Yeah.
There was definitely, I don't know if Twitter was around, but if it was today, as much viral as you can get, that thing would have gone bonkers.
It's true.
I think I first saw it on Vimeo, and I think YouTube had just gone to HD because I think it was still pretty standard.
Yes.
They hadn't gone to HD yet, but I knew Vince. I know him, I was shocked. He kept that so under wraps, what he was doing. And it was a game changer.
He probably never had to worry about work again after that, or at least for a couple of years until the next thing came along. But it was a huge, mind-blowing moment, and I definitely, maybe even subconsciously, just thought, oh, I should learn. Everybody was saying, every still photographer was saying, oh, you have to learn this. This is something important to learn. And it was just an expansion of our existing tools. So my dad had bought me a 5D Mark II for my birthday that year. And so I don't... And
it's like handing you the drug. Here you go,
yeah,
baby.
Exactly. And I had applied for a grant at the Maine Media Workshops, and I received it. And you could pick any class you want. And so it just felt natural that I should do that class. And it was it was really fun.
Oh, it was really a blast.
It was a blast. I made the wackiest film with this other filmmaker there. We found this guy who was obsessed with the Grateful Dead, and he was like tripping on acid 24/7. And we like tracked him down in like the backwoods of Maine and just made this ridiculous film, and he was definitely not sober during that interview.
But didn't you win?
I think we did. We won something. Yeah, we won like the story.
Yeah, you won the best video.
Because this guy was the best character anybody could ever wish for. I mean, he was hilarious.
Yeah, because I was taking notes and I was going through it, and I'm pretty sure that you won.
Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
Come on, put that baby on the resume.
Oh yeah, I should.
2009
I should.
Platypus champ. Suck it.
I gotta dig that out.
Yeah, you should.
We probably got some kind of paper award.
You did. I think I took a picture of you. Oh
my God.
When I go home,
send it to me.
I'm going to find it. Yeah.
You remember all these details of that week that I need to... I don't know what I was doing that week, but I somehow forgot these really important
You
moments.
were running around with some guy in the woods. That's what
I
you
know.
were doing.
It was,
Hoping you were going to come back.
oh my God. He was fairly harmless, but he was just a wild character. Yeah.
But that's what you want, right?
That's exactly what you want. So I think I probably caught a bit of the filmmaking bug. Because, I mean, still photography, of course you can photograph, wild characters, but the dimensionality, the extra dimension that films allow, the dimension of time and of, sound and everything, and a linear story.
Well, we can cheat in photography a bit. You can shoot some things and you can kind of cheat, but when you're shooting video and you're capturing audio and you're trying to have that subject moved through a frame or you move around them, you can't.
No, you really can't.
Can't screw that up.
You can't. I remember a few people saying, like, the sound is the most important thing, But yeah, there's...
Was Christopher Nolan on your shoot?
I wish.
He puts too much in everything he does.
Too much sound?
Yeah, it's layered. It's like, good Lord.
Still haven't seen Oppenheimer.
Nah, you know how it ends. Yeah. It's like the Titanic. You know how it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no surprise. What? The
Right.
Japanese won?
Yeah.
So when you leave Maine, are you just fully committed now? Like, was that light bulb on in your head that video was going to be your future? Or film of some sort?
No, I was still very much focused on photography. In fact, I started an MFA in photography at Indiana University in 2009, that year. And then I went on to the International Center of Photography and worked in their archives. And
for a couple of years there, right?
Yeah, so it really wasn't until I one day realized I had to make this film, which I just am finishing now.
Because you started in 11.
I started in 2011.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, not that you won the Golden Globe, but you win in Platypus, you put something together. For 2 years, you kind of put it on the back burner of doing more film?
I was interested still in filmmaking, but it wasn't like when I took that workshop, I thought, I'm making a full transition to become a filmmaker. It was just like, here's another tool that I can use that I'm interested in using. But I was obsessed with photography, and I was very committed to still photography at that time. So it was more of like a gradual thing, and here's an extra tool for the toolkit. That's
a massive tool, though.
It was a massive tool, and that was really just a very preliminary thing.
It's like going from the belt to all of a sudden you've got like the truck. Like,
absolutely,
film is a monster.
Yeah, but I think that particular workshop, it was run by photographers. Mm-hmm. There still was a sort of ethos of, photography still felt somehow like the top thing. Right. It was like, we're all photographers and we're learning this thing. It wasn't like it was taught by, some huge filmmaker.
Right.
So I think I still, it really just felt like, okay, I'm adding another tool here. And then when the time came and all of a sudden I had this idea where I thought I have to make a film, then I was able to start to incorporate that knowledge. So maybe in some way I felt that at some point I would make a film, but, it didn't have a particular plan until later.
What's the light switch moment to make the film about Mom?
Yeah, so my mother was a prolific journalist, photographer, filmmaker, and she interviewed the greatest photographers of the 20th century.
Now when do you know that?
I learned it through my dad one day when he was showing me around the house, and he would be like, oh, there's your mother's work. He had like all these boxes of archival stuff.
How old are you?
I wish I could say exactly, but I think it was probably in my late 20s or so.
Oh.
I mean, this is like all stuff that was always sitting around, and I always noticed it, but...
I was going to say pre-teen, so good little 20.
It was always there, but I think it wasn't until I really focused on photography myself that I became, and this is in my film too, that I became interested in it more so. It's sort of like, you grow up with something, you sort of take it for granted, and then all of a sudden one day you're like, wait, I should look into that. And so...
Who is that beautiful woman on the wall there?
Yeah. So, yeah, as strange as that sounds, I don't think I was maybe even ready to really dive into who she was until a certain point in my life, which happened to be maybe, around the age of 30 or so. So it turns out the ICP had all these raw materials. And so I put together a proposal. I went there, I volunteered, and then I was hired full time. And I started to digitize my mother's interviews. And I was sitting in Cornell Kappa, the founder's corner office, which was still totally intact after he died. They just didn't move even his pen jar. It was just sitting there for years. And I started to listen to my mother talking to Cornell Kappa. That was one of the interviews. And I had this experience where I felt like I traveled back in time to the 1970s and was in the room with them, totally present. And it was so moving to me and so amazing because the audio was so crisp. It was this amazing 7-inch reel from the 70s. It sounds like you're in the room with people. And I just in an instant thought, this is a bigger story. Here I am, the daughter of this woman. Her work has been lost. I'm discovering it from this archive. She's interviewed all these great photographers. This feels like a movie, but it was just like a flash of, well, I guess I have to make this movie.
Now, tell me this. Maybe it's in the movie. I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're going to tell me Star Wars, how it ends. But what was it like just even seeing those little square boxes and opening up those reels? Because
yeah,
we come from a generation where, I mean, I'm a little older than you, but they were starting to fade out as we were kids. The reel to reel.
Yeah.
8 tracks.
There weren't really reels when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was what our parents might have played stuff on, or what journalists recorded on. Mm-hmm. You didn't get the Eagles on reel to reel, you know. So what was that like, opening up and touching that box?
It was awesome because she had written in her own handwriting the photographers' names and the number of the reel. And analog, what's so great about it is, like, I knew that she had physically touched those boxes, written on them. And so it was partly like this photo history piece, but it was also something that she had made. So there are many layers of why it was so great to find these reels, but also because they hadn't really done anything with them. ICP hadn't done anything with these reels since my dad had sent them back there in the late 70s. So I felt like it was this great gift and almost responsibility to do something with them, both for her legacy and the amazing gift they are to photo history, and then the personal story as well. So somehow I'm like all of a sudden going to make this huge film that has all these layers to it without having any, I didn't even know how to make any film at that point.
Right. What was it like hearing your mother's voice?
Well, I think the thing that surprised me the most is that it was familiar, because I had no conscious memories of her, but there was something familiar and comforting about her voice. And I later learned that many people find her voice very soothing. So it's not just because I'm her daughter. But I think the fact that it sounded familiar was like, oh, wait, you don't hear that a memory could be a sound memory, or, you know, and so that was sort of this surprising thing to me.
Did it sound anything like your aunt's? Was there a connection between what your aunt sound's voice?
Well, she didn't have sisters. My aunt was on my dad's side.
Oh, dad's side, that's right.
But she does have a brother. But her voice, I think, was kind of similar to her mother's voice a little bit. But no, her voice is very unique, and I've never heard anything like it.
It sounds beautiful in the trailer, in what I've heard of your mother talking.
Her voice is incredible. Thankfully, it's not just me who feels that way.
No. She should be doing those, she should be doing those nature films with, you know, the African plains, the polar bear wakes in the morning.
And my dad has a great voice too. He's sort of like this British, announcer voice. But yeah, I agree. But her voice and her interview style really allowed her to get these amazing gems.
What was her style?
It was just almost casual, kind of like coaxing in a way that people would feel very comfortable opening up to her. And, and she just, I think she made people feel very comfortable. And Bruce Davidson said that he felt like it was like being in therapy, talking to her. So. And
didn't Cartier-Bresson say it was his best interview maybe ever? Right?
He did, yeah. Yeah, so somehow she managed to get all these photographers to just,
be comfortable,
say things that might be unexpected, or that would get to the real core of their philosophies or why they were taking pictures.
Artists in general are never good to be interviewed. They always feel like they're not in control, whether it's the camera or behind or audio,
Yeah.
whatever. So your mother did have an unbelievable way of getting, and she wasn't recording some kid from College of the Canyon who was a sophomore and taking art class. I mean, she was interviewing legends, Mount Rushmore type figures,
Yeah.
and making them just cool, comfortable.
Yeah, I think my favorite parts of the interviews are when there's sort of a banter, like with one of the photographers. They talk about how they're both Geminis, and she says that's, a good sign for a journalist to have or to be. So I like those little moments because I learned something. I learned like a casual thing about her that I might not otherwise know.
Yeah.
So that's for me the fun part.
So I'm guessing this would be a stupid question, but I have to ask you, listen to them all.
I did listen to them all.
How many hours?
Oh gosh, I should go back and count, but it was upwards of 100 hours.
Oh, Rachel, not that you wouldn't commit, but that's a lot to take in.
Yeah,
Like
I think that's one of the reasons why the project took so long, because not only is there 100 hours of interview, I found 14 journals of hers, but only 2 years ago. I found hundreds of thousands of still photographs.
When you said that, I was like, what vault did you find those in?
My dad's garage,
Dad, come on.
My stepmother never threw anything away. I don't think my dad really threw much away. They were both married. She was married twice. He was married 3 times. There was just so much stuff in that garage. And it wasn't until I was like trying to start to clear things out that I found them.
And your father's still with us?
Yes.
Have you finally gone through everything? There's not going to be any more surprises like in the sock drawer?
No, there's always more. I think I've learned there will always be more, because even one of the shoots was going to Israel because my mother has work in the Museum of the Jewish People. She made 3 short films about the Jewish diaspora in the 70s with the photographer Micha Bar-Am, who's also a Magnum photographer, and Roman Vishniak. And I go there and I find even more stuff. So my feeling is that no matter, there will always be more. That's my feeling. So at some point it's like, okay, I have enough. You can give me more stuff, universe, but I have enough to make this film and I have to just get it done now.
All right, so 2011, you're exposed to this. Your world changes in a way that, at your age after 30, like it's not supposed to be flipped upside down and this gift presented to you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What then goes, walk me through this emotional path of like, I'm making a film. I've got to present my mother this way. Where you could have just said, I'll write a journal, I'll draw a painting, whatever. Like, why film? Like, it's just, that's a goal. That's a lot. And when I was doing my research, I'm like, the brass on her to just be like, I'm doing it. I'm going for it.
Well, I think part of it was ignorance of, not knowing what it would entail or what I was actually embarking on. And
that might have been the best thing.
Yeah. But at the moment that it came to me, I just remember it like a flash. It was like, you got to make this film. And I saw it in my mind at a moment. And then it was like I was just following that, what do you call it? Like not a dictation, but a sort of order, like a divine order of a sort. And so at that point, it was like an assignment I was given from another realm that I felt that I had to follow. I felt like she would help at certain points. There were some really interesting serendipities that happened throughout the whole process. And I did give up a lot of things in my personal life to make the film. So it was just like, it was this feeling that I had to do it. And then as I started to gain support for it through Kickstarter and other institutions, at that point I couldn't turn back because it was like, well, 500 people gave me money on Kickstarter, and if I don't finish it,
Okay, so this is the interesting part, making film. Okay, you've not done this before.
Right.
So are you thinking, okay, it's going to cost X. What am I going to go for funding? Is Kickstarter my place? Do I reach out to family and friends? What does Dad think of this? Like, where are those things laying out in front of you? Because it's a massive project.
Yeah, I mean, I really started from square one. I remember Googling how to write a documentary treatment. Like, I literally knew nothing.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, the Platypus Workshop, it really, I mean, it was a good sort of very, very basic primer, but the whole scope of making a film.
Light exposure compared to where you're at, sweetheart. You have conquered so much.
The making of the film was the film school. So I went about it in some ways like, I started a couple of film communities in New York City. One was the Brooklyn Documentary Club. By the end of it, we had 300 members, and we would meet once a month, and we would workshop each other's projects. And I learned a lot from the other filmmakers in the group. But in terms of fundraising, the first thing I did was I wrote a letter to the CEO of Scholastic, who was my mother's boss in the 70s. And he had once said to me, you know, if you ever want to do something with your mother's work, you know, I'd love to help. So I wrote him a letter. And then maybe 3 months later, I heard from his secretary. And she said, Dick would like to see you. Can you come in for a meeting? And I said, great. And he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you $25,000 to start your film. And so from there, I was able to book a trip to France and interview Henri Cartier-Bresson's wife and get the whole thing started. And so I was under the illusion that maybe it would be easy because the very first person I reached out to said, here's a check for $25K.
So you're like, oh, it's just going to keep rolling.
Yeah, it was just going to all happen.
Everybody's writing Rachel a check.
Yeah. I mean, but I learned so much. I mean, I literally did almost every kind of fundraising that you could possibly imagine. I overturned that rock over the last 12 years, whether it was the Kickstarter, which was already more than 10 years ago.
Blood, plasma, anything you could just to raise a buck.
Luckily I didn't have to do that yet, but it was a Kickstarter. It was the corporate funding from Dick. It was then grants.
Because 2011, and we're sitting here right now in 2024, let's just take it to the bare minimum of technology, what has changed in 13 years. So what you were recording that woman in France on, not knowing it was going to take you 13 years, technological, whatever you shot on, you might have started with a Canon 5D and end up with a Red. Like, was that kind of thought process, like the longer this keeps getting, technology's changing? I mean, I know you weren't using a green screen, but just audio, formats, you know, 4K, 8K, like all that kind of stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
Were there those pitfalls?
Well, I think because of the nature of the film, which is very personal, and the fourth wall is broken, and so you see the process. And so we weren't trying to make this glossy thing where you hide that. And because of that, we were able to show the sort of scrappier side, which was one of the very first scenes is me and my dad passing the 5D Mark II to and from each other and filming each other. And he's like shot with a Leica for his whole life.
Right, yes.
He doesn't care. He doesn't want to put his hands on the digital thing. And so he says, here, you keep it. I don't want this thing.
And to him, it must have been a big block, right? He's used to this little...
He's used to the, little
5M or whatever, a little something small. And
he wanted to get into digital, and he just never quite embraced it, which is fine. But
God love him. He was a smart man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he was already like 80 years old when that thing came out. Like,
you're not going to teach him Photoshop.
Right.
Yeah. Dad, your curves are totally off.
I mean, he did do some stuff. Yeah, but for the most part, I was carrying the torch of the new technology. But I guess because of the nature of my project, I did think about it a little bit, but I didn't have to worry about it too much because ultimately we kind of showed that angle of things. So in the film, you know, the earliest footage is from, well, there's a photograph from the 1800s, but then from my family, but then there's Super 8 from the 30s, Kodachrome. And then, you know, it runs every kind of media up until today.
Right.
So
there's like 8mm.
There was an RE, like one of the last shoots we did was with an RE, but, you know, we just integrated it in such a way that it hopefully is not a distracting element of the film.
No. But it's one of those ones where I bet in 11 you're like, this will never take that long. We'll be done in a year or two because they keep writing me checks. Like, I'll be... What do you mean world pandemic? What the hell does that mean?
And it's funny because a lot of people would say, oh, I would like to finish a film in 3 years or 5 years or whatever a documentary can usually take. But it would not have been good if I had done that for many reasons. One is that so much of the great support I've gotten, like we did the Sundance Labs in 2019, and if I had finished it in 3 to 5 years, I wouldn't have had all these amazing partners come on board. I wouldn't have found my mother's journals. So I like to think, and I am quite a spiritual person, but I like to think that things just happened the way they were supposed to. And, whatever my uncle or my mom's cousin might say, they're all thrilled now that it's finally done. But,
so what are you doing in your dad's garage to stumble upon mom's journals?
Well, my stepmother had passed away.
Okay.
And so she was a great collector of things, is a nice way to put it. So I was trying to help clean it out.
Okay.
And I just found a couple of boxes there that were
unmarked.
They were unmarked, I believe, and in some in disrepair, but I was able to salvage them.
Did Dad even know about them or remember?
He vaguely did. He had some memory problems the last 10 to 15 years, so he wasn't super clear on what was where at that point.
Oh, things get moved. The last time you saw that box, it was in good shape, and it was up here, and now it's down there, and yeah.
So I don't remember him specifically telling me about it.
You open it up, and what do you see?
Well, I found 14 journals. So I had only had 2 journals before that, and I assumed the rest were lost, destroyed, whatever.
Or, anything.
And so it was probably, it might be the thing, or at least one of the top 3 things that I was most thrilled to find, because it was the one thing I had that was my mother from her own perspective. And everybody talked about her as if she was like this, godlike person who could do no wrong. And she was an amazing person, but the journals revealed all of her insecurities and her self-doubt and her just all the crazy, huge challenges she faced as a woman who wanted to be an independent journalist at that time. She was the only woman most of the time. She traveled throughout the world, and 9 times out of 10, or 9.9 times out of 10, there were no other women around. She did things like travel down the Amazon River with a bunch of sailors on a boat as the only woman, for a month. I think she did for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. She went across the Middle East and photographed President Nasser's funeral in 1971, the only woman amongst dozens of male journalists. And she mentions in her journal, Renee Burry is there, and Gordon Parks pops in, and all these photographers, Eddie Adams, she has lunch with Eddie Adams, and she just casually mentions all these names. And
lunch with Eddie. Ed, whoever,
But it's great because she talks about her relationships with them and their personalities, and in some cases she had romantic relationships with some of them too, and all of that's in the journals. And I use that kind of sparingly in the film, but it was just an incredible way to get to know her.
Yeah, more than anything, of people telling you how your mother is.
Yeah.
And of course, they're never going to say, your mother used to, chew with her mouth open. They're not going to say that to you, but then you get to see her in her head.
And honestly, she didn't share most of those things with anyone in her life. And so even her best friend was very surprised by the things that were revealed in the journals.
Yeah.
And she's a very private person.
And I think at that time, that's what she would have done, because she was fighting uphill all the time.
Yeah, she had to preserve this facade of being, I think at the time, one line is in the film from her journal is, I feel an incompatibility between femininity and competence, which is crazy now when you say that, but she didn't know how to be this desirable woman, which of course most women want to feel, attractive, and also be a professional, successful, incredibly smart journalist. There was no model that she saw where a woman was like praised for being this professional woman. It was like, oh, you're either an old maid or you're a happy housewife, and there was no model for her. So
Yeah.
that's shocking today.
There's not a catalog of women going down the Amazon in 65 she could have mirrored.
There wasn't. I mean, maybe you have outliers like Margaret Burke White, who, was that intrepid female. I think she might have also been gay, but I'm not sure. But
Right.
You have these outliers who were trailblazers. And my mother was one of those people. But it was very lonely for her because she didn't have that role model. And so that's something I really deeply learned in her journals. And it gave me a whole new level of compassion and understanding for who she was, what mattered to her, and the obstacles that she had to overcome to be who she was.
You have a quick snippet in the trailer of your mom getting on a plane, a very old biplane, double engine.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, DC, whatever. And she's dressed in boots and a little dress and a jacket and glasses. And she looks as cute as a bug, but you're probably thinking like she's about ready to go into the most terrifying situation. And she looks adorable and she's got cameras and she's ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how Rachel and I were going to the war zone would dress today. But like you said, she was battling her, what do I look like? How do I present professionally?
Sure.
I still want to look like a hot lady.
And she was 5'11".
Yeah.
So, at that time.
5'11"?
She was 5'11", and
Holy crap, she stood out.
she really stood out. And, she was Jewish. She, didn't look like the Barbie doll models that, or the Twiggy or the
Right.
models of that time. So she had a lot of sort of,
I could tell she was tall, but 5'11".
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Even if she did nothing, that alone is going to get her to stand out.
Sure, yeah. And today it's like, I love being tall, but at that point, she didn't want to stand out in that way, I don't think. Because there was just so much negative feedback to being sort of this outlier sort of woman that she was.
If she was a 5'2" woman with cameras, it would be odd enough. Now to be like the supermodel with cameras.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. So she was so hard on herself. And that part makes me very, very sad. Because I wish she could have just enjoyed who she was more at the time.
Trailblazers, though, have to do that. It's never easy. She's the first person to cut through the brush. So she's got to bear the scratches and the scars and do it.
Yeah.
The 10,000th woman behind her is like, boy, this path is fantastic.
It's true. Yeah.
Thanks, lady.
Right.
This is easy.
Yeah. That's really true.
Your mom had to do that, but it's okay. Like, somebody's going to do it. Better be your mom.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was incredibly cool. So I think now people can really admire her.
Can we say your mom was a badass?
Yes.
That's pretty badass. There was a patch. I would have your mom on it. It'd be a badass. So, as the film's going on, how are you doing? As it's going to year 3, 4, 5, what's your mental state? Because you're not expecting it to go this long.
Yeah.
You're past a baby now. You're into like lots of babies.
Yeah. I don't think I really. I mean, it was a roller coaster at times. There were times where I was so sick of the project, I had no idea how to finish it, and I still needed to raise a lot of money. There were times where it was very exciting when we were getting a lot of grants and we were going to Sundance and pitching and getting investors on board. So there were just different moments. There were discoveries and great shoots, and then periods of time where nothing was happening and we didn't know if anything was going to happen. So I would just say there were too many ups and downs to really say it was a smooth road. But I always just knew that I couldn't give up. So that was sort of the bottom line was, I have to do this until I finish it. And even last year, I was so burnt out. Just could not wait for the film to be done, but it just wasn't there yet.
Where's your father's support on this on a level of 1 to 10?
100% support the entire time. He acts kind of gruff and grumpy in some of the shoots, and I filmed him many, many times. But one of the lines that he likes to repeat is, I stuck a camera in people's faces for years and years, and now I'm starting to be paid back for all the time I did that by my daughter. So I think he understood what it meant to tell stories with a camera, and he felt that it was his duty to go along with it. But also, my mother was the love of his life, and I think he also saw the importance of sharing her story with the world.
When we go through March of 2020, the world's starting to get panicky and it's starting to shut down. Mm-hmm. Do you get nervous and think, oh my God, this might be the end of a kind of a roadblock?
The end of a roadblock?
For this film? Like, are you thinking, oh my God, now this could be out of my control. It might end here just because funding or work or, you know, by June we were all thinking, this could be our last summer.
Well, I was incredibly fortunate in that 2019 and even into the early 2020, we had the most successful year of fundraising, of labs, of support for the project. And so we had just found these investors right at Sundance, right before the lockdown. And that funding plus Sundance, we also got into a lab, chicken egg lab. And all of that enabled us. I knew that we wouldn't have to turn the lights off because we had enough funding for at least 2 or 3 more years of finishing the film.
That's
so
good.
I felt extremely lucky because if I hadn't had that, then I would have probably been in despair. But, you know, I was able to keep working the whole time.
When do you see the finish line making the film? Where are you like, okay, I think we're 6 months out. We're wrapping
that never
this up.
happened. That never ever happened. Like up until basically in my mind, I felt like until there's a deadline, like, okay, we got into a festival and it has to be finished. It's probably not going to be finished because the nature of this film and maybe writing a novel or any kind of art is maybe some people know when they're done, but I just knew that I needed that deadline. And so when we got accepted to the True False Film Festival, that was the deadline we needed.
Could you not yourself personally put the brakes on it? Did you keep wanting to?
I was never satisfied. I always thought it could be, I mean, I still think it could be better. And we probably will go back in and tweak a couple things.
Too close to the project? If it wasn't your mom, you're doing a picture?
Well, I think, no, I have extremely high standards for what it could be in terms of the writing, in terms of every aspect of it. And it just wasn't there yet. And so I think I needed to be forced into a deadline.
Okay.
So it just wasn't, thank God we got into that film festival. So that was really what I needed. And then we got a tremendous response there. And so I felt like, okay, well, as my partner and I say, because he's been editing with me for the last year, we say, okay, it's a 4-star film, but we need to make it a 5-star film. So what are we going to do now that we're getting these good reviews to make it a 5-star film? And so next week we're going to go back in and figure out what that is.
I've done them, documentaries, and so I probably watch more documentaries than I watch regular cinema, just because regular cinema to me drives me nuts. So there's so often when you're working on a project, you just have to stop.
Yeah.
Because
there's some reason. It's either you run out of money, you run out of time.
Or because your mother had passed, so you're dealing with other people around the main actor. Mm-hmm. Your actor will sometimes, either in a documentary, whether it's you're doing a story on a guy who makes a couch, he just gets tired. Like at some point, have you got enough? I can't keep making this couch anymore for you. So when you're doing this, and I asked, that's why I asked the physical side, were you getting physically tired, mentally tired to the point where
completely exhausted? But
was it taking a toll on your work?
Yes, it was taking a toll on my mental health, on my relationships, on my career, which is why I'm grateful that we got into that film festival, because I think because I'm the main character and writer of the film, it was like I could keep going until it was perfect, whatever that means. It was never going to be perfect. As we all know, nothing, I mean, maybe some art gets to that level of perfection, but so people would keep asking me like, oh, is a picture locked yet? Is a picture locked? And I said, and sometimes I just wouldn't respond to their texts because I just got so tired of that question because I knew that I needed that deadline. I can't explain why, but that's what I needed to get it done. I had to be forced into it, basically.
And sometimes that's frightening that you didn't realize how deep the deep end is. Oh,
yeah. I mean, it could go on forever, honestly. And some people never finish these crazy, epic personal projects, and I would not be able to live with myself or even with good conscience move on to the next project. If I didn't finish it, I could not live with myself. And there are a lot of people that would be pissed off at me. So I just, sort of like I had to.
Well, not that it's a fault, but you are dealing with someone you love.
Yeah.
Right? If it was the person across the street, you don't know them. So you don't have that.
Right.
You could have you will always have, when you do any kind of project, you have a relationship with that subject. That's what you want. With your mom, it becomes beyond that. There's your relationship with your father, family, who I'm sure they were all like, Rachel.
Yeah.
When is this going to end?
Oh, yeah.
If for you, when it's done, when you guys say, okay, I got a 5-star, you feel like there was closure? Like,
oh, yeah,
the box is closed, you're happy?
Yeah. I already feel not closure, but
Pretty close?
Yeah, I feel like I call that festival launch a soft launch because I knew that we were still going to have to go back in, but it feels like already a huge relief.
That's an understatement, because 13 years, young lady, that is a hell of a project.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I feel a great relief, just to have it out into the world now.
What was your response at that film festival for the first time? Are you in the room when they show it for the first time?
Yeah. I was
Okay.
there.
Where are you sitting? Front and center?
I was sitting, no, not front and center. I was probably
mid-row back?
kind of middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lights go off?
Oh, I couldn't breathe for the first 15 minutes. I was like, literally couldn't breathe because I was so just nervous.
Yeah, I mean, your baby's exposed.
Yeah.
You might as well be naked in that theater. You are
right.
exposed.
And because then I did a Q&A, and we had 3 screenings. I did that every night.
Yes, the Q&A of...
Yeah, but we got a standing ovation, so I figured, well, at least they're pretending to like it.
They didn't throw things at you. Boo, boo.
Yeah.
Where's the special effects?
Exactly. And the very first response that I got right after the screening was this young woman came up to me, and she was sobbing, and she said, my mother is dying, and now I know that I can talk to her after she's gone. And I'm just so moved by that, because if I was going to struggle through making this film so that I could talk to my mother again, and someone else feels that now they can as well, then it's like that's this meaningful thing that art can do. And for me, that was like the most meaningful response I could have received. So I felt like, okay, I did something right.
Did you ever think this project would be so emotional?
I hoped it would be. I hoped that I could reach audiences, with emotion. For me personally, when I go see a movie, whether it's a doc, whether it's a fiction film, I want to feel emotionally connected to the characters first and foremost.
Yes.
There's a lot of, that's probably why I don't connect that well with Wes Anderson films, for example, or some of them I like, but I don't like when films that look good and don't have a substance or an emotional content or human content. So that was always my goal, was I want to emotionally connect with audiences, but it was such a difficult subject matter for me to put myself into it in a vulnerable enough way that it could connect with audiences that way. And that was the personal work I needed to do for years to finally get to the point where it is connecting with audiences in that way. And I think that's one reason it took so long, because I hadn't been able to access that part of myself for a while.
If you can sit in front of a bunch of young filmmakers, very young in their career, what do you tell them? What's your advice?
I'm not maybe as young in age-wise, but I am still a new film. This is my first film. But I would say after this time making it, I think my biggest piece of advice is, first of all, use your intuition. Anybody that you're going to work with, a lot of people will see a shiny project and they want to be a part of it. And you have to not just be excited that somebody wants to be a part of it. You have to say, is this person aligned with me and my values in the project? Do I want to be partners with this person, and what they stand for? And so that's one thing, whether it's investors, whether it's producers, whether it's whoever it is, any collaborator. The other thing I would say is to think for yourself. There's a lot of noise out there about what's happening in the industry and, it's gloom and doom and this and that. And it'd be very easy just to to be really discouraged, but I always think that if you think your own way and you find your own path forward and don't just listen to, the things people are pushing you, directions they're pushing you in, then I feel like there's almost always a way forward and a solution. So that's something I've learned for myself is even if the greatest producers in the world are telling you, this is what's happening in the industry, you can't do this. Okay, well, but how can I do it? Don't take no and don't be discouraged, I think. I see it as a challenge if somebody tells me that something's not working and can't work. I'm like, yeah, I think there's probably a way it can work. So let's figure out what it is. And let's not just follow the same train of thought as everybody else. So those would be the two things that I think are the most important bits of wisdom that I can follow now.
What would you tell yourself in 2011?
As I said earlier, I think ignorance was bliss. If I had known the scope of the journey, I'm glad I didn't know, let's just say, because I think coming to it with a fresh mind.
You think that would have been put off?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think it would have been daunting for sure.
Rachel doesn't have 13 years.
It would be very daunting. And so I'm glad I didn't know then what I know now. The journey sort of was the destination along the way, but the journey got really tiring at a certain point. So I learned so much over the last 13 years, and I feel like I did learn how to be a filmmaker. So that's so valuable to me.
That's like 2 marriages. Right?
I went through one.
Yeah, well, don't they say the average marriage is like 7 years, right? And so,
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not very promising. Yes. It was a lot. It felt like a lot of lifetimes. And, I'm just glad to be finishing up now. Because, I think one of the things in the center of the film, one of the ideas is that life is fleeting. You have Cartier-Bresson's decisive moment. The line from the film that a lot of people remember is, he says, life is once forever. And with that in mind, spending 13 years on one project, at a certain point you do have to wrap it up and move on to something else and embrace change and something new. So that's also something I really walked away with, was just this, not urgency, but the sense of the moment now is the most important thing, and just to be as present as possible with the people in our lives. And photography can either help us do that, or it can also detract if you're distracted by the camera standing between you and your subject. So I think there's a lot of things that I learned along the way.
There could be a lot of things in 13 years to learn along the way. Title changes? How many title changes were there?
This is the one and only title. I think in the very, very beginning.
Photographic Memory was, right? Is that
from 2011? Yes. There was one title in the very beginning that was like a working title, like something about my mother. I don't remember what.
The top seed, whatever. Just kind of the placeholder until you got one.
Yeah, but pretty quickly I came up with this one, and it stuck.
That's pretty lucky, because
yeah,
you could flip-flop so many ways.
I know.
Especially over 13 years. Normally you might flip-flop in a year and a half too.
Yeah.
Especially when you get more cooks in the kitchen, more money put out. I don't know if I like that title. And next thing you know, someone's, asking for a different title. So that's good that you stuck to it.
We haven't, sold it to some big distributor yet who's demanding that we change the title.
They can go to hell.
You said it.
That's right. I said it. Come find me.
I did have a friend who sold a film to a distributor I won't mention, who demanded that they change their title, and it became was a terrible change. It was the new title was awful.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh God, that's such a off-putting.
Well, it won't look good on our streaming service. It doesn't fit in the alphabetical order algorithm crap, and you're just like.
Supposedly, they wanted the title to spell out exactly what the film was.
Oh God, yes.
Which is like, that's not cinema.
Yeah.
If you know exactly what the film is going to be.
Rachel's heist at Huntington Beach,
Right.
High noon.
Yeah, it was like that kind of thing. It was
Good
very
Lord.
literal. Very literal, lacked imagination.
Exactly.
But
what are we doing here? Why don't we just make, cliff notes and just leave it alone?
yeah, exactly.
What do you got next? What's on your docket next away from this film? Because at some point there needs to be a separate part of your life.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
When I see you in 13 years, I want there to be another part of your life.
yes. Well, I do want to create a workshop. What they don't tell you, I didn't go to film school, but what they don't tell you as an independent filmmaker is that once you finish the film, then you're still working on the film, because now I spend all day, every day emailing festivals, making my spreadsheet, applying, submitting DCPs. So that's a whole other thing.
Inputting all the information, copy and paste. But,
yes. But now I'm producing 2 other feature documentaries at the moment. And producing for me it's sort of a break from directing, but I do, what I would love to do is I would love to direct a film about one of my favorite musical artists. For example, somebody like PJ Harvey. I think that would be a really fun project. So I just started thinking about that, and, who could that be and who could I get access to? But I love music docs, and I'm obsessed with music. And music was kind of my first love, so I think it would be...
Who else do you think you would... If you had a top 5 list of musical artists you like to do a doc on.
Wow, that's a real challenge.
Especially the ones that nobody might not hit the nerve of knowing, right? I don't want to do one on Lady Gaga. That would just be boring as hell.
Well, there is one on her.
I know, but even then it was whatever. I think
it'd be fun.
Raw.
It'd be cool to do Patti Smith.
Better hurry up.
What's that?
Better hurry up.
Yeah, I mean, she's amazing. It would be cool to do PJ Harvey is always someone I think about, because she's such a elusive, interesting character from the farms of England. I love Belle and Sebastian, the Scottish band. I think that would be super fun. That's a hard question. I would need to think about it a little more, but there's a doc on the Indigo Girls that just came out that I'm actually excited to see.
Okay.
Probably a band that I listened to in high school. I love New Order, so that would be another
interesting
fun one. I don't know that there is one on them. I love New Wave.
They've got that split where they were...
Well, it was Joy Division.
Right.
So they'd have to have a lot of great archival, but that could be an amazing film.
Ian passes away, and then that just completely changes the whole band.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember hearing my brother play Joy Division, and then my other brother playing New Order, and them explaining, and I'm like, that's not the same band. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
Very different vibes.
Blue Monday does not sound like anything that they would play in Joy Division.
No, New Order is a much more hopeful, happier kind of tone.
Yes.
I mean, I love both.
Yeah.
But I love New Order because it always makes me happy to listen to it.
Yeah.
Saw them live last year. It was incredible.
How were they? Good?
Amazing, yeah. I mean, it was a big arena show.
Right, yeah.
But they still had it.
They weren't in the backyard. You had a red cup, and you weren't like, hey, New Order.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I think that would be a really fun project. But, I think I probably need a vacation.
Yeah.
For a second.
I think you could spend some time in the Caribbean or something, or on a beach somewhere and just relax.
Something fun like that.
A little sun on you and just have a drink, relax.
Maybe just maybe the islands of Greece or something.
Oh, yes. It's going big.
But I love working.
I was going to put you in Catalina, but you're going to Greece.
Yeah, I've never been to the Greek Isles. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I am thinking about next projects, and for now I'm producing some things. And
do you enjoy producing?
I love producing. Yeah, weirdly. I think it's the whole thing how I enjoy business, because I feel but I also like...
That's the business hat.
It's the business hat, but also what I like about it is the variety on a given day and the challenges that you have to figure out and the interactions with lots of different kinds of people. So it's the same reason I didn't like to sit at a desk all day is the reason that I like to produce, because I feel like you have the option or the ability or the opportunity to travel and reach out to interesting people and make things happen that seem very difficult.
Wow. I haven't seen the film. What I saw of it, it's fabulous. I get emotional. When I get emotional watching a trailer, you've hit it. That's... Thank you. That's beautiful work.
Thank you. I look forward to sharing the film with you.
Do I get to wait till it's a 5-star?
Yes, totally. There's no rush.
What would your mom say?
I mean, I think she's extremely proud and happy. Like today, the news that the film is going to be at the Full Frame Festival came out, and they had picked a photo of her for their announcement. Out of 60 films and all the key images that were sent their way, they have this picture of her with a camera. And
that vertical shot, but it's kind of...
Yeah, it's her holding the camera up. And so I just thought how pleased she would be. So to me, it's like, I'm Jewish and so is she. And the idea is that, if you light a candle for someone every year, which is called a yahrzeit, you keep their memory alive, you keep their spirit alive. So for me, the film is an ongoing way to keep her memory and her spirit alive. And I can't think of a more meaningful way to honor who she was and all of her dreams and goals and all the compassion she had, but then to have this film out into the world. So I think that's for me, one of the most meaningful aspects of having the film out there now.
I can't thank you enough for answering my email, and agreeing to do this.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
The bravery it takes for you to take this on, because I'm sure there was a lot of emotion, a lot of hurt and joy and love and pain and all the things you have to dig up. That's a huge undertaking. You've got a massive, heart to take it on.
I would just say that it was something I had to do. So I appreciate the credit for it. But as far as I was concerned, I don't know that I could have done anything else major in my life until I found out who she was and did this whole crazy project. So maybe it's stubbornness or, some kind of insanity that kept me persistent for so long. But thank you.
What film festival is it going to next?
So depending when this podcast is released,
It'll be next Friday.
Okay. I think on the 26th, they're going to announce one of them.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's before or after, but I mean, I'll tell you, we're going to Full Frame. We're going to Hot Docs. That one hasn't been announced yet. We're going to...
What city are those in? People might be listening going...
Full Frame is in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Hot Docs is in Toronto.
Okay.
It's the biggest documentary festival in North America.
Okay.
We're going to the San Francisco Jewish Film Festival in the summer. We are going to Doc Aviv in Tel Aviv in, I think it's the end of May. I'm not sure if I'm going to physically go yet or not, but I do have a lot of family in Israel. And
swing by, say hello.
Yeah. And then we're working on a New York City premiere, which is still to be TBD.
Okay.
And a European premiere, which is also TBD. And hopefully dozens more throughout. And then Middlebury in Vermont is another one that we're doing.
So, but if anybody along the way wants to pick it up, show it, what the hell, reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know who from, HBO, Netflix, cinema. Someone might be
Who
listening.
knows? Exactly. Yeah. Sure. They're all welcome to reach out.
Where can they find you?
So our Instagram is at a photographic memory doc, DOC. And mine is at SOIGNESONG. So they could reach out through Instagram if they want, and be happy to chat with them.
When was the last time you picked up the camera? Still camera.
I take iPhone photos every day. You saw me take one of you earlier. That's kind of become, for better or worse, my main camera. The iPhone 14 has an incredible camera, though. I mean, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I don't pick up other cameras that much at the moment because I've been in post-production for so long. But now we'll start a new phase, and hopefully within the next couple months, I'll pick up a real camera again.
What are you editing it on? Adobe Premiere or you on?
Premiere,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you've been sitting at a station looking at Premiere for the last, God knows how many years.
Years with various, very patient editors.
And the updates in Premiere, my God, when you started, it was...
Oh, yeah, I know. I don't, if Adobe is listening, I don't love the subscription model. I like to keep my old Photoshop. It's frustrating. But yeah, that's why we stuck with Premiere, because I've been working with Adobe. I still love Adobe Bridge. That's like one of my favorite programs for looking at pictures and selecting them. Old school.
You're the best, Rachel. I can't believe that someone who I ran at summer camp with and was going to turn into this absolute legend doing legend film.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sharing corn cobs and lobster shells at Maine in 2009. Couldn't say no to a fellow platypus workshop-y.
I don't think anybody's ever called me a former platypus. Okay, all right. I wish you all the luck. I hope you get everything out of this you want.
Thank you so much.
And your dad's happy, family's happy. The hell with everybody else. Just to you, and then you can someday put your head on the pillow and be like, okay, I did it. I'm good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope everybody can stick with their crazy personal projects till the very end. Get them done.
Yeah, that would make everybody's life easier.
It would, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Rachel Seed. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and become a subscriber to the podcast. Remember, you can follow the Just a Good Conversation podcast on Instagram, and you can find all of our past shows on the website at justagoodconversation.com. Thank you for listening.